Growing up, pretty much all of us wanted to be superheroes at one point. Whether we yearned for the strength of the Hulk, the speed of Quicksilver, the healing powers of Wolverine, or something else entirely, the idea of using crazy abilities to fight evil and earn the hearts of the masses is something that appealed to almost everybody. But some superpowers really wouldn't be as great as they're depicted as being in comic books, the movies, and on television. In fact, some would be more of a burden than a blessing. With that in mind, here are 10 superheroes whose powers would suck in real life. Superman's super hearing. Superman's super hearing is often shown as being advantageous, because he can use it to hear trouble occurring from miles away. But that wouldn't be the case in reality. It's an ability that you can't turn off, so you would actually be able to hear everything going around you at all times. You'd never get any sleep, you wouldn't be able to understand what people were saying directly to you, and in a nutshell, it would drive you completely insane within a day. Professor X's telepathy. Telepathy and the ability to hear the thoughts of others seem like cool powers to have. Professor X can mentally communicate with his fellow X-Men from a distance, and he can use his powers to anticipate when something bad is going to happen. But these powers would have a pretty unfortunate downside. Would you really want to hear the thoughts of others? It would range from the utterly mundane and boring to the seriously perverse and twisted, and that could mean you end up emotionally scarred for life. The Invisible Woman's invisibility. You've fantasized about being invisible. The Invisible Woman has used your abilities to sneak past your enemies, and the shenanigans you could get up to would be a lot of fun. Or at least they would be if you could actually see. However, the fact is that if you were invisible, real-world science tells us that you'd actually be completely blind. Sight requires light to reflect off the corneas in your eyes. If light passes through your eyes, as it would do if you were invisible, your vision would be non-existent. Good luck taking advantage of sneaking into the opposite sex's changing rooms without the ability to see. NIGHTCRAWLER'S teleportation. Teleportation would be a very cool and convenient power to have for the most part. NIGHTCRAWLER can get from A to B in an instant, which would really make life easier for us in the real world. But there'd definitely be a major downside to the power, especially if you started to get careless and complacent with it. Teleport into a wall or a space occupied by even the smallest object, such as a flying bug or some litter blowing in the wind, and you could end up merged with that wall or object and in excruciating pain, or even dead as a result. It would probably be safer just to walk or take the bus. Dr. Manhattan's size manipulation. Size manipulation, in particular the ability to grow bigger, seems like it could have a lot of advantages. You'd think you'd be proportionately stronger, faster, and more durable, and you could reach things that you otherwise wouldn't be able to. But the fact is that it would actually be terrible. Dr. Manhattan used the ability to smash his way into Ozymandias' lair, but the truth is that the human body just isn't designed to support itself beyond a certain size. You only have to look at real-life giants who are only a couple of feet taller than the average man. They suffer from excruciating back pain, and their organs give up on them much earlier than the average person. Basically, being a giant would suck. Hulk's super strength. It's the most common superpower in fiction. Super strength is something that we've all just come to assume would be nothing but beneficial, but that wouldn't actually be the case at all. Hulk uses his strength to cut through opponents like a hot knife through butter, but if you were strong enough to throw cars or punch out a giant space whale with a single blow, how could you manage to be delicate enough to get by in the real world? Your handshake would break people's fingers, your glass would smash whenever you went to take a drink, and every time you tried to open a door, the handle would just break off. That's no way to live. The Mask's reality warping. Reality warping is the ability to alter the very fabric of reality around you with a mere thought or gesture. It allows you to conjure items from thin air, remove anything you want from existence, and essentially, well, do anything. The Mask's cartoonish powers are a prime example of this, but imagine having that ability when you're sleeping or when your mind is wandering. The subconscious damage you could potentially do with a stray thought could be absolutely devastating. You could, for example, wake up one morning to discover that you turned yourself into a goat, made your entire family disappear, or turned all the chocolate in the world into manure. A truly terrifying prospect. Wolverine's immortality. Nobody really wants to die. But would you really want to live forever? If you were truly immortal, which Wolverine seems to be thanks to his incredible regenerative healing factor, it would seem cool at first, but it would become more and more depressing over time, and ultimately, it would be absolutely terrifying. Imagine losing everybody you ever loved or cared for, and then billions of years down the line, being the only living being in existence, floating around in an otherwise dark and empty void. That truly would be a fate worse than death. Rogue's power absorption. Seriously? Do you really need us to explain why having power absorption abilities in real life would suck? Rogue can absorb the powers of other mutants in her universe, but there's nobody else in the real world with powers. You wouldn't even realize you had the ability to absorb them. Dope. Spider-Man's wall crawling. Having been bitten by a radioactive spider, Peter Parker developed some of its abilities, including the ability to stick to surfaces and climb walls. That's cool, right? Well, no, not really. In the real world, even if you managed to control the stickiness to an extent, you'd still undoubtedly get random objects and indeed other people stuck to you from time to time, which would be embarrassing to say the least. Moreover, gravitational tug is proportionate to an object's size. It's highly unlikely that the stickiness would even be enough to hold a human being up, rendering it useless. Thanks for watching our list of 10 superheroes whose powers would suck in real life. Which superpowers do you think would be awful to have? Did we leave any out? Let us know in the comment section below, and be sure to subscribe to our channel for more great videos like this one.